So I used to be a luxury hotel general manager, working in different countries, leading luxury hotels. And at the peak of my career, I was leading up to 350 people. So that's a lot of people. And you always have someone to do a certain job or task and to delegate something, right? So yeah, that was really easy. At the head of it, you basically, any task you need, you delegate it to the team and they, one way or the other, get it done. However, that all changed after 15 years of working in hospitality. I decided end of last year to leave my job. And from the beginning of this year, I started my own business. And well, what can I tell you? It's quite a difference from having so many people to just relying on yourself. Now, obviously, it has a lot of perks as well, right? Because leading a big team comes with its own challenges, I would say. However, in fact, I'm actually not only by myself. I do have 3 employees, I would say, and they're not actual human beings, but they are AI, different AI models. And that's why in this video, I want to show you how I use those AI tools in everyday life, right? Because we hear a lot about AI, people program certain things and so forth. Sometimes it seems so unrelatable, but I just want to show you how easy it is to integrate AI into your everyday life and help you to level up and build a business or use it for your own purposes. Because I generally believe that AI is not going to disappear. It's only going to get more and more in the future. And I always say AI is not going to replace humans, but a human knowing how to use AI will replace other people. And we see this more and more happening. So I think it's very important to really understand and embrace it, make AI part of your life so you can really benefit and level up yourself. So I think it's super, super powerful. And the 3 tools that I'm showing you today, I think can be really an amazing base for you because of course I tried so many different AI tools out there. It seems every other day there's a new tool coming up online that you can try. And of course, I'm generally very interested in AI, given that 2/3 of my name consists of AI, right? I guess I naturally have an inclination towards it. But yeah, in all seriousness, I think it really has so many amazing use cases and benefits to a fact that even right now, I still don't see myself needing to hire anyone. And I'm running my YouTube channel. I run also a membership, my newsletter, and as well my new business, which will be launching next week. So a lot of things on my plate. And honestly, I can manage all of that just with the help of AI. Now, without it, I would definitely be struggling big time and I would have to look into hiring some people. But with those tools, honestly, for the time being, I don't see any need for hiring anyone. And honestly, it's really amazing because there's no off days, nobody complaining to me, and it just makes my life so much easier. But even if you're employed, I think those tools can really make your life so much easier and increase your output and therefore your chances of getting promoted, increasing your salary. I generally think those tools can really help you level up your game. Right, so let's kick things off with the granddaddy of AI, probably arguably the most popular AI model and agent out there, which is ChatGPT from OpenAI. And yeah, that's probably also the first AI model that I've been using for the longest of times now. And I really love it because it's multimodal. Basically, what it means is you can have all different things all inside one tool. Because a lot of tools, they're either good for image generation, right? Mid-Journey. Then you have other tools that are good for copywriting. Then other tools good for voice interaction, so forth. The beauty of ChatGPT is that it combines all of it under one umbrella and you can do all within one literal chat box and they're constantly evolving. Now, is it the best at everything? Maybe not. And that's why I speak to you about 2 other tools that I use on top of ChatGPT. But I would say for 90 to 95% of my everyday use cases, I really end up using ChatGPT. Now, full disclosure, I'm on the paid plan. It's $20 a month. I'll come back to this at the end of the video. Well, I think it's an absolute bargain. I would happily pay more for it if I had to, because as I said, right, instead of hiring just one person, which could cost me thousands of dollars or euros, here it's $20, which is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, obviously you have different benefits on the paid plan, but you can of course also use the free plan to get started. Now, one cool thing is that you have different models. I mostly use the ChatGPT 4.0, which is the most advanced and latest model. But one thing, I'll speak about this in a second, is also Canvas, and there's some other models out there as well. But let's talk about actual use cases for what I use ChatGPT. Now, the first one is actually the advanced voice feature, which is absolutely mind-boggling. I've recently done a whole video about it, how I use it and what it's capable of, but it's really, really incredible. And actually what I catch myself doing often when, for example, I'm in the car, I drive to the gym, right? I'm by myself in the car. I would pull up ChatGPT Advanced Voice and have a proper dialogue, talk through problems, some issues, ask it for advice or feedback or some guidance. And it's so fast and so natural that it almost feels like talking to a friend, which is almost creepy in a way when you think about it. But I generally appreciate the objective, insights that I get and often some really good perspective that I haven't thought of myself. And it's just different when you speak to it rather than typing on it, right? You could do the same by typing on the computer, but having it so naturally integrated in the palm of your hand, you can also do it now from the laptop to talk to it. It just makes the whole experience of interaction so much easier. So yeah, really love it. Definitely check it out. And I'll give you a quick example what I mean. Could you explain me the difference between an accumulating and distributing ETF? And when you answer, please do it in a Cockney accent.
Let's dive into it with a wee bit of a Cockney twang. So, an accumulating ETF is one where any dividends or income generated by the holdings are reinvested back into the fund. You won't see any cash, but your investment grows over time. On the flip side, a distributing ETF pays out the income to you as cash, usually on a quarterly or annual basis. It's up to you to decide whether to spend it or reinvest it.
So guys, you saw it was a fun example, but it just shows you how natural and how good it is. And yeah, I really recommend you next time you're by yourself in the car, put it on speaker and try to have an interaction. And you can ask it about any topic, right? Even maybe you got an email that you're a little bit upset about and you ask it honestly their opinion and how you should respond. I really, really love that feature. And I see myself using it more and more, which is really awesome. Now jumping back onto the ChatGPT interface, one cool feature, as I alluded to, is the new Canvas feature. Because a lot of people use just the box, right? They say, write me a text or I reply to an email and it does it and it's cool, right? You can ask it to rewrite it and so forth. But with Canvas, you can go much deeper into it. So let's select that. Let's take this example. I'm asking it to draft me a blog post, why investing in stocks is good to build wealth, right? You can ask it anything really. I mean, ultimately, it's your imagination, right? It's not anymore about resources, but being resourceful. We all have access to the same tools. It's what questions you come up with to ask it to do on your behalf. It's like an employee, right? You can ask them to research certain things, or you can ask them to create something really interesting and meaningful that you can monetize later on. So it's up to you how you put it to work. But in this case, let me show you that because that's something I could potentially ask it myself to use later on for LinkedIn posts or email newsletter, what have you. So yeah, that's really interesting. So here, obviously, on the left-hand side, you have the usual ChatGPT interface. And on the right now, you see the actual text coming alive, which looks similar to what it was before. However, one cool touch now is that you can actually interact with it, right? For example, I could just highlight this part over here and ask specific question to that, either edit it or explain it and so forth. So you can even edit it myself. I can, put an emoji behind it and say, like make it myself basically. So that's really interesting, but I don't want to do that. I want to instead have some quick edits. So you can go on the pencil icon over here. That's really cool. You can either add emojis, you can polish it. I'll show you in a second. You could change the reading level. And I often find that the reading level is already too advanced. The simpler it is, the more people interact with it. So you can just pull it down over here to middle school level or kindergarten level, which maybe depending on who you write to might be too, simple. But then you could also go to college or graduate school level, right? So it depends on your audience, who you're targeting. But let's change it to, for example, middle school level. Click on that once again, and we'll rewrite the whole text basically for you. And I also find a little bit too long. So in this case, I want to shorten the length. So go ahead and just pull down the slider over here, shorter or shortest. Go ahead. Yeah, I want shortest, and we'll revise it immediately. So it's much more intuitive. You can really work on it. You can even share the text with somebody else if you work on it together. It just makes it much easier rather than having to go back and forth. And I find it easier that it's all on one side. You can even ask it to suggest edits, right? Suggest edits. So basically now it will go through and kind of question itself in a way. And you can then basically select, click on it and says, consider adding a simple example and so forth. And you can either apply it so it does it, or don't do it and be done with it. So it's just really, really such an amazing experience. It's so much better than using the regular ChatGPT, especially for text and creative writing. I really found that amazing. And then, yeah, you can click on add polish. So here it will go through one more time and just clean up the whole text and make it, a nice title and just basically polish it up. So it's really ready to go. And if you like it, just go ahead here, copy, and boom, you can paste it wherever you want. And it's just such a nice experience, which I catch myself using more and more often. Now, of course, you can also do image generation with ChatGPT, which is quite cool actually. But honestly, I don't really use it that much, and I don't really use AI generated images. But if you do, it can really help you with that as well, which is awesome. And as I said, it's multimodal, so it's all included in one tool, which just makes it so much more user friendly, right? They really want to be the go-to tool for all your needs. And actually, just a few days ago, they dropped one of their latest and craziest announcements, which is ChatGPT Search. Because in previous time, when you look for something specific, right, up-to-date information, often you got a lot of outdated stuff. but now it literally searches the web live for you and gives you the latest information, which really is such a game changer. I think it's really going to put Google in a lot of trouble, right? Because previously a lot of people would go on Google and look for something, but I could really see myself in the future more and more using ChatGPT to get real good answers. Let's just give you an example. I look for upcoming crypto conferences in Dubai. Let's go ahead and ask it to search it. It will take a second. You can see now searching the web. And you could either enable it by default over here, search the web, or usually when you ask it something recent information, it will do it automatically. And basically it took a second and really nicely presented the upcoming conferences. So you can see here what it is, the date, where it is, and even the source, which is really cool. So if I wanted to read more about it, I could just click on the source and it will take me there and I can read about it. And actually it looks quite interesting. I might consider that. But yeah, really like it and it's very, very nice. Well, let's try the same exercise on Google. I'm going to enter the same search query. And well, over here, you get the usual replies and it's just not that good. Over here, you get a couple of what is coming up. It doesn't really tell me exactly where it is and so forth, the sources, but overall, it's just not so nicely presented, right? If I contrast it with that over here, it's way easier to see. And honestly, I could see myself using it more and more. Now, obviously, I would still use Google for certain things, but I think if you have a bit more complicated search query, I definitely would jump over to ChatGPT search. Let's do another example. What was the latest Apple earnings and was it good, right? A simple question you may ask. You might have heard there was Apple earnings, but was it good? Was it not? You don't want to go to your broker to check yourself. And well, it breaks it down over here right away, what it is, the key highlights, and gives you a bit of analysis using, once again, the latest information with sources, right? If you want to see more, you can even get a preview over here. So I really love how it naturally blends it in. Now, if I go back to Google and look for that, well, over here, you do get a little bit of extract, but really not that much, right? That alone doesn't really tell me so much. So it's much more difficult and cumbersome to find actual information. And you can see how much further you can take it. You could ask, I'm planning a trip to Italy, 2 weeks. I have a budget of X. They can even look for flights now. Look at that. Cheapest flights from Dubai to Vilnius next Sunday. Press search and it will pull it up. It uses Skyscanner to find the flights. And it's just amazing and really, really powerful. So yeah, really love the experience. I also started using the Mac app. They also have a Windows app. So it's like a standalone app. And basically there you can also use the voice feature. So you can chat with your laptop basically right away, which makes it easier. And they have a search feature where you can search up any previous chats, which previously they didn't have. But now I can go back and basically search for something when I spoke about Apple stock, for example, and it will pull up all the conversations and chats that I had regarding Apple stocks, right? So in case I had a good text a while ago, but I can't find it, so just go to the search box and you will find all your old chat history. Now, in the past, I also used a lot of custom GPTs where you basically create your own topic and niche that you talk about. So ChatGPT really knows everything about that topic, right? I had it, for example, for YouTube. I said, you're a professional YouTube content creator, help me with this and this and that. But now, actually, these days, I use it less and less because ChatGPT also introduced a memory feature, meaning that anything you tell it, if you choose to have it enabled, and now it knows that my dog is called Nutella, how old she is, what issues she had. So in the future, when I talk about something and ask, can my dog eat this or that, it knows it's Nutella. So I ask something about my dog and it replies, yes, Nutella can do X, Y, Z. And it's just really, really cool. So if you have it enabled, the more you chat and interact with it, the more it will learn about you, which for some people might be a bit scary. So you can disable it. But for me, I really appreciate it. So now I don't have to tell every time what I'm doing, what my channel is called, what business I'm building. It knows it already. So even if I have the voice interaction, it interacts with me knowing what it already knows. It's like a friend, right? The more you interact with a friend, the more it knows about you and has better context, can therefore give you better replies. Now, moving on to the second AI tool that I use, and that's called Perplexity. They were very famous for being an AI search engine because here, before ChatGPT came out recently with their own engine, it was really the go-to place for AI generated search replies. And just to show you what I mean, I can do the same example over here. So let's post the same question to Perplexity AI for the upcoming crypto conferences. It will go out and start looking for it. And you see, I have Pro Search. So basically, it's the paid version. Once again, I paid for the Pro plan because it does give you slightly more options and better results and more queries during the day. But you can also go ahead with the free plan, which really does a great job as well over there. And here you see, once again, nicely broken down, so much nicer than Google, right? Now, comparing it with ChatGPT Search, which recently came out, it's neck to neck. So I will see how in the future, which one I'll be using more. In the past, I used mostly Perplexity. ChatGPT, but still, it's very, really powerful. So if you decide to go with one or the other, and it has so many more other features than just search. Once again, you can see over here the sources, where it comes from. You can also generate images, really, really powerful for search. You can ask follow-up questions, which is also cool. It even gives you potential questions related to that, right? Like who are the main speakers? So it kind of, you can go down the rabbit hole and interact with the search results, which I really like. But one thing why I really like Perplexity AI is a new tool that they came out with, what they call Spaces. And why I like Spaces, because it's really, as it says, a space contained to one specific topic. Now, as you can see, I already have a number of spaces, and every time I go into one, I know I'm exactly talking about that specific topic, which makes things much more organized and more streamlined, which I really like, because sometimes with ChatGPT, you have so many different threads and conversations, you don't know anymore where you talked about what exactly, right? Yes, you can search for conversations, but it's still a little bit overwhelming. So here with Spaces, I'll show you how simple it is to create one. All you do is create a new space, click on it, you give it a title, let's call it investing advice, you can call it whatever, right? Creative writing, LinkedIn articles, email replies, whatever is your specific topic or use case, just put it over here and that will be centered around the topic. You can give it a description for yourself, you can add an emoji if you wanted to, and then you can choose the AI model, which is really cool. And yeah, you can choose from a number of them. You can use ChatGPT 4.0. You can also use Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is Claude from Anthropic, which is basically the European ChatGPT, and it's actually really good for creative writing. So most of the time I use Claude, but you can choose different ones because I already have ChatGPT. So here I have a different style of writing. And here the cool thing is you can give it custom instructions, basically how you want the AI to reply in that specific space. So here you would basically prime it of how you want it to reply. Right here, I just said, act as my personal financial advisor. I invest in ETFs and crypto, give conservative advice with low risk. But once again, you understand, you can prompt it whatever you want. You're a professional content creator that writes the best converting LinkedIn article. Please reply in a positive, professional manner, infuse some humor where relevant and applicable. So you can really prompt it the way you want it. And then if you're happy with this, go ahead. And here you have your own dedicated space towards that interaction. The cool thing is you can even add files, right? So you can upload some files. Maybe you have some documents, maybe the company you're working with, or you're doing freelance work for another company. You could write here their brand book, for example, right? The words they use and so on, rather than having to think about it every time. You just add it over here and ask it to use that whenever it comes up with text. So that makes your life so much easier. And I really love that. And once you're happy with it, well, you just go ahead and start a thread. And here you communicate based on that. So for example, I could ask it, should I buy meme coins? Now it will start a search, go ahead, look up different sources and so forth, knowing of course my prompt that I gave it to be conservative. So hopefully it will factor that in the reply. And it says, I must strongly advise against investing in meme coins due to the extremely high risk nature. And then it lines it out what it is. And that's really cool because I basically primed it that I'm really risk averse, right? I don't want to take risk. I'm a conservative investor. So you can see how many opportunities you have with this. And that alone for me is really, really powerful. Now, if ChatGPT was ever to come out with their own sort of spaces feature, then I might consider only having ChatGPT. But for the time being, that Perplexity has a great search feature and the spaces, I already see myself using it. Now, in the last tool that I don't use that often, but honestly, I was really blown away when I did, is called Notebook LM. And that's actually from Google. And yeah, while Google has been missing the train a little bit in recent times regarding AI things related, they are catching up quite a bit. And that's really one of the cool tools, which I think doesn't get much attention, but can really give you some amazing, powerful insights and can do some really cool things. So here we are inside my Notebook LM, and that's totally free, which is really awesome. Who doesn't like free things? You can see, once again, similar to Spaces, you can have different notebooks for different topics and conversations. So let's create a new notebook. And here you upload your own sources. And for me, that's really so powerful because basically, unlike the other two tools that I've shown you, for example, here, you don't have to connect to the internet at all in a way. You can only upload your own sources, PDFs or other documents that you want to have without having it diluted from other web searches. Because sometimes I found when I ask a question to ChatGPT or Perplexity, you get really good advice. But if, for example, it pulls up some data or source from Reddit, let's say, it might be complete garbage, right? So it dilutes your results. So here, if you want really precise answers, you select your own sources, even MP3s if you have an audio file, which I recently did. I went to a conference, I recorded the keynote speech on my phone, basically fed the MP3 into here, and then I could ask questions regarding the conversation, which is really cool. But let me show you a very quick example. For example, we go to CNBC, find one of the articles over here, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett. I always like this gentleman, right? He's the living investing legend. So instead of reading the whole article, or let's say I just want to use that particular article over here, go back, choose the file, and either I could upload a PDF or I could just put the link, I could put a YouTube video or a website. So let's put the website over here, that particular article. It will take a second and it shows you, yes, it can take that website. Now, a little hack in case sometimes some of the websites, they don't allow to be read by AI. You can always just print the website to a PDF and then upload the PDF into the file. So you really have all the insights to the particular website and text and what have you. And obviously from here, I could have a conversation, right? I could just say, what did Warren do, right? And ask it, and it will basically only rely on the one source. It won't go out and search the internet, but it basically just interacts with a particular source, one source. And I think you can give up to 50 sources. And as I said, it's all free of charge, which is really amazing. It basically just uses the one particular document to give the citations. You can click on it and it pulls up where it is on the website. So really, really easy. So I could see that useful for people working in big companies, organizations that have a lot of PDFs and documents, right, that they want to have answers to, and only that. Or same, for example, earnings reports, right? There's Apple earnings coming out and you don't want to go through the entire PDF document. You could just upload it here and then ask it questions to only interact here. Because with ChatGPT, often it pulls information from all over the web, and here it's only for the sources that you tell it to. But one of the coolest features about this tool is that it can generate you in a podcast around any of the topics or sources that you gave it to. So all you do is click on generate. It will take a second. It will generate a podcast. And honestly, I tried a few times. It's mind-boggling how good it is. So in case you have a lot of documents to digest, right? Maybe you're studying for a law exam or what have you, and sometimes can be very dry. You can have it generate a podcast for you and listen to it on the go while you walk your dog. And it just makes consuming and understanding information so much easier than having to read through copious amounts of text. All right, so it took around 2 minutes to do the podcast. And as you can see, it's around 8 minutes long. So let's go ahead and give it a play.
This time, we're going to be looking at Warren Buffett.
Always an interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, right, always up to something.
He keeps us on our toes, that's for sure.
So we're looking at this CNBC article, right? Berkshire Hathaway's cash fortress tops $300 billion as Buffett sells more stock, freezes buybacks.
Wow, that's a headline.
I know, 300 billion.
That's a lot of cash.
That's more than like the GDP of some countries.
It's an incredible amount of money. It really makes you wonder, what's he planning?
Yeah. What is he up to?
I mean, guys, you heard it. For me, honestly, it's becoming harder and harder, almost indistinguishable between a normal podcast and an AI podcast. It's a proper conversation. There's emotion in there. There are little pauses in there, little giggles, little breathers. I mean, it's becoming really, really so good. Now, of course, you can't change the voices for now. So all of them sound the same in terms of voices, but just shows you what is possible already today. And that's as bad as it will ever be. It will only get better from here. So yeah, really interesting. And yeah, I definitely see myself using this more and more, as I said, especially for difficult topics, which I really have to wrap my head around. I would load all various sources in there. And then based on those sources, it will generate a podcast depending on what I ask it for, right? I can ask it to explain this or that, and it will have the discussion based on that. So if I'm on the go, once again in the car, I can listen to it and learn in a much easier way to understand the concept rather than having to dig through all these different sources and files and what have you myself. So yeah, guys, there you have it. The 3 main tools that I use really on a daily basis, and I really force myself to make it a habit. You can see right now, I have Perplexity at the bottom. I have ChatGPT over here. So having it front and center, I really use it more and more. Otherwise, if it's just tucked away somewhere in your browser tabs, you don't really use it that often, but I really force myself to use it because, as I said, the more you embrace it, the more you can benefit from it. And yeah, I've been really, really impressed of how useful it is for my everyday life, right? From some funny things that you sometimes come up with, you take a picture of the food items you have in the fridge and ask it what to cook. That's cool, right? It doesn't really help you with your business and make more money. But I think if you really use it wisely and think about the questions and use cases you can have for it, it can really help you make more money, live a better life. And with so many things that previously, as I mentioned, I used hundreds of people for to delegate things to, well, now I can do it from the comfort of my home with those tools. And I think it's really amazing. So coming back to the price, $20. Some people say, well, why do you pay $20 for the pro plan? You can get similar things for the free plan. But as I said, I'm really consider myself a heavy user of it, and I get so much more value out of it having the pro plan. And $20 is just absolute peanuts, right? If they would charge a couple of hundreds for it, honestly, I would definitely pay because it just brings you so much value and benefit. But I just want to urge you to start using it, embracing it. Even if you don't like AI necessarily, some people don't like sleeping, but not sleeping is not going to be good for your life. And the same is true with AI. It's not going to disappear anymore. It's not some buzzword. It's just here to stay. And it's up to you to take advantage of it, to help you benefit from it in the process. Next up, check out this video here where I'm going to run you through how I actually use ChatGPT Advanced Voice in my everyday life. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. It helps it to be seen by more people. As always, stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.